So far, we have seen about 7, 9 months as of day before yesterday, if I am right. We stopped with the last one was Yelpagai Nainar. And the life of each one of the 63 saints is very interesting. I mean, if you could, it's not very easy for people like us in today's world, especially, to understand the context in which these devotees do certain things. We may we may think, like I gave in the initial introduction of Yelpagai Nainar, it is very difficult for us to in today's world to accept that somebody some Shiva's devotee, ardent devotee, comes and asks for your wife, and without even hesitation, you're feeling very happy that this man has asked something that I have, that I possess, that is within my possession, and he's only joyful to hand over his wife, and his wife also equally with equal amount of joy of being service to her husband and to the devotee of the Lord. She also agrees. Similarly, when we come to Siruttondar Nayanar, shortly we will see the story of how the Lord comes in the guise of a devotee, and says that he is very eager to eat the flesh of a human. So his son, the Siruttondar Nayanar's son, he said, "I want to eat the meat of your son." And both husband and wife are absolutely ready to oblige the the demand of the devotee, or the to satisfy the devotee and his apparent craving for human flesh. This is very difficult for us people in today's world. So even if we talk about this subject to people who are not in the right frame of mind to understand and appreciate, will say, what is all this? This is some barbaric things that you are reading and you are following and all that. This is exactly how mind, which is totally modernized and which is completely not in the same plane of devotion as these 63 Nayanmars or other Shiva Bhaktas were. For them, service of the devotee, God, of the Lord's devotee, is service to God Himself. They could not think it of any other way. They could not think about it. And we also saw how Viran in the second episode, I think, of Viranmanda Nayanar, how the Nayanar even was willing to pick up a fight with the Lord Himself, saying that because your devotee is not treating you well the way you should be treated, and because you are putting up with him, you are being lenient to him, I will fight with you. This is the amount of respect or amount of consideration these people had for the devotee of the Lord. Adiyarku adiyen. Adiyarku adiyen, meaning I am the servant of the servant of the Lord. So their mind was in a totally different plane. So we'll have to understand the context in which these people were living, how their life, our normal life is going to work, earning, enjoying, eating, sleeping, and whenever there is time, going to temple or thinking about God, or having satsang and things like that. But for these people, it was totally the other way around. They never bothered about anything other than being in the name of the Lord, in Bhagavat's Marana. That is all they were bothered. Their entire life, that was their normal way of life. So there is absolutely no comparison, and none of us will be able to really truly appreciate. Let us say we all call ourselves as such a faithful devotee of the Lord, of Lord Arunachala, of Lord whatever that we have chosen. But if any of us were to face in today's world such a situation, such crazy situations in life, will we be able to do it? I'm sure none of us will be able to do it. Do anything, even a percentage of what they have done, we won't be able to, because their life was totally something else. It was fully soaked and immersed in godliness and in the feeling of God. And when they say they are bhaktas of Shiva, and we say we are bhaktas of Shiva, Arunachala, there is an ocean of a difference between how they feel and how we feel. We are, no doubt, devotees of Arunachala. We have love for Arunachala. We melt for Arunachala. The name Arunachala, Annamalai, moves us to tear, no doubt about it. But only during that instance, for them, the entire life from birth to death is soaked in the same single thought. There's only one note. That note is Shiva. For us, amongst so many noises, we also have the noise called Shiva, which we feel is auspicious, but it's very fleeting in comparison to the entire span of life that we live. And hence, there is no way in which we can compare our devotion with that of the 63 Nayanmars or people of such people, or people like them. It is very difficult. So we have to understand when the stories of 63 Nayanmar or 63 Nayanmars unfold, we'll have to understand rightly and not try to rationalize the acts of those Nayanmars, because we will never be able to, because we don't understand them. Their love, their love for God is in that level. Now, we have been seeing this 63 Nayanmars, and we'll slowly, about will of Arunachala, we'll be able to complete all the 63 Nayanmars in the due course of the time. And in the meanwhile, being the month of Margari that we are in now, the most auspicious of all the month is considered to be the month of Margari. And getting up in Brahma Muhurtam in Margari is one of the most great thing that we can possibly do. Getting up by about 4 o'clock in the morning, and then having a bath, and then sitting and chanting Tiruvachakam, or people who are fortunate who can go to the ashram in Tiruvannamalai, can go to the ashram every morning at 4:30. They do Abhishekam to Ramana Mahalingam, and then they sit and chat. They chant a little bit of one stanza of Tiruvambavai, and one stanza of Tirupavai, and one stanza of Tiruvambavai composed by Muruganar in Ramana Samiti Murai. Every morning they do, and then there is a Aarti, there is a Divarthanai, and all that. And after that is over, the Pandits and all people sit and chant Vishnu Sahasranamam. And after that is over, they distribute prasadam. They give that prasadam, Pongal prasadam every day in the morning, and then they start off with the regular 6 o'clock chanting of Aksharamana Malai, and then 7 o'clock Pal Puja, the milk offering to Bhagavan. So the day goes on like this. So by the time most of us wake up, I mean, I don't know, I used to wake up previously when I was in Tiruvannamalai at 4 o'clock sharp. I'm not able to replicate it here, but it is wrong. And getting up in Brahma Muhurtam is totally important, very important for spiritual journey. So if whoever can, whoever is physically, whoever is in good health, and whoever is in that station in life, whoever has got the luxury to do that, or the opportunity to do that rather, should do it, should wake up, because by that time these people finish all this and come to the first puja, that is 7 o'clock puja, half the day is over, and we are just getting up from bed, and we cannot afford to waste the sacred month of Margadi for 30 days. We should be totally immersed in the bhakti for Lord. So in this Margadi, it is very, very auspicious and special for Tiruvachakam. This month is extremely closely linked with Tiruvachakam. Chanting of Tiruvachakam is highly recommended whenever possible during this month. And at least, not necessarily the whole text. Each one has its own way of life. But Tiruvambavai and Tirupalli Richi are considered to be very, very important work of Manikavachakar Tiruvachakam to be chanted in this month. That's why almost all temples, all Shiva temples, in the morning, the chanting of Tiruvambavai will take place. And similarly, it is equally auspicious to Vaishnavites, and they chant Tirupavai, Andal's composition of 30 songs in Vaishnavite temples. Also, definitely every morning they chant. So all of us should somehow come into the habit of chanting a little bit of Tiruvachakam each day, whichever. Or if you know only Tiruvambavai, You can do that. Tirupalli Ezhuchi. Tirupalli Ezhuchi is a song by means of which we wake up the Lord. This happens in all Shiva temples every morning, not only in Margari. Every morning they go to the Palliyarai, that is the place where the Lord is put to sleep in the night. They go there, they sing Tirupalli Ezhuchi, and then they bring the Lord ceremoniously to the sanctorium. And in the night, when they place they place the image of the Lord in the Palliyarai, and at that time they sing Tiruponnusam of Tiruvachakam again. So Tiruvachakam is very, very, very close to the Lord, and everywhere you see Nataraja opposite, you will see Manikavachakar. Manikavachakar, such a great saint, Manikavachakar. But he is not a part of the 63 9 mass. It is very difficult. There is a lot of discussion, debates, and confusion about why he is not a part of it. Why Sekira did not include him in the 63 saint when he composed Periya Puranam, or for that matter, Sekira's database for composing the 63 Nayanmars are two. One is the Tirutondar Togai, as composed by Sundaramurti Swamigal, when he was attacked by Viran Mintanainar, the Lord of Tiruvarur. Yagesha asks him to compose Tirutondar Togai. So in that, he mentions the name of 63 Nayanmars and says, I am the servant of the 63 Nayanmars. This is so Periyapuranam, when it came about, when Sekidar started composing the life of all the 63 Nayanmars, this was the base. This song was the base. And a little later than that, after the Devaram period, Nambi Andar Nambi, who is again a great saint, great devotee of the Lord, who was residing in Tanjore district. He composed 84 or 84 stanzas. He composed 4-line stories, 4-line stanzas of the life of all the 63 Nayanmars. So that is a little elaborate, giving one or two more extra details than what Sundaramurti Nayanar gave. So these two formed the base, very Puranam composition undertaken by Sekidar. Now, there is a school of thought that Manikavachakar's life was after the time of Sekidar, and hence it was not, and since it is much later, it was not included either by Sundaramurti Swamigal or Nambiyandar Nambi, and hence was not a part of the 63 Nayanmars. So this is one school of thought. Probably they attribute the date of Manikavachakar to about end of 9th century AD or 10th century AD. There is another school of thought which is much, much, much earlier than all this. He was in 2nd or 3rd century AD. Is one school. There is a famous Tamil scholar called Marai Malai Adigal. Marai in Tamil means Vedas. Malai means the Vedagiri, also you can call it in Sanskrit. He was a big Tamil scholar, Marai Malai Adigal. He wrote quite a lot of work on these 9 Mars and Manikavachakar's Tiruvachakam, very elaborate commentary he's written. And according to him and scholars in that school, he was much earlier than all this. He was in 2nd or 3rd century AD. Because there are references of the incidences that took place during the time of Tiruvachakam in Upper Devaram and other things. So there is a bit of conflicting information. At the same time, if you see in Manikavachakkar's Tiruvachakam, you will find mention of Keswara Nayanar, you will find the mention of Kannappa Nayanar in two songs. These two Nayanars are mentioned in Tiruvachakam also. So historians are still have not come to any solid conclusion about the date line of the life of Manikavachakar. But for us devotee, that's not the driving factor. It is a love. It's a love for God that is more important. Let it be 10th century as claimed by some people, or 2nd or 3rd century as claimed by other school. It does not really matter to us, because the treasure called Tiruvachakam is with us, and that is enough for us to cherish. Without getting into the history, academics will only lead to endless noise. So that is not our prime interest or orientation at all. Now, That is why he was not featured as per claims in the 63 Nayanmars. So, generally, but he is a part of the four saints. Nalvar, it is called. You go to any, Nalvar means four of them. You go to any Shiva temple, you will find big, if it is a big temple, you will find the statue of all the 63 Nayanmars. They will be in two forms. One is in the stone, in the form of stone on the side of the temple, on one side of the temple, mostly on the side where Dakshinamurti is there. In that side, you will see the image of all the 63 Nayanmars, and they will have some bronze images which will be stored in a safe place, which they will take during Utsavam. Just like how we had on the sixth day of Mahadipam Kartikeya Deepam Utsavam, it was dedicated to 63 Nayanmars. All the Nayanmars were taken on in procession, and likewise each temple celebrates during their Brahmotsavam. Brahmotsavam is a compulsory celebration where in all the temples that have the Dvajastamba in front of the temple, the Kodimaram as we call it. Whichever temple has a Dvajastambam, it is mandatory to celebrate a Brahmotsava of 10-day festival. A lot of temples do not have it, and so they are not there exempted. Even if you see in the temple of Adiyannamalai, they don't have a Dvajastambam. Since it is considered an extension of the main Arunachaleshwara temple, or they are all one and the same. So what is celebrated here is equivalent of being celebrated in Adiyannamalai also. So wherever the Dvajastambam is there, it's mandatory to celebrate the 10-day Brahmotsavam. Each temple has, according to the Sthala Purana, each temple has its own date and month in which it is celebrated. Chidambaram has two such celebration. One is in the month of Ani Tirumanjanam. The other one is Arudra, which is going to just come up shortly. Such is the celebration. And whenever there is a celebration of this Brahmotsavam is taking place, Manikavachakar plays a very important role. He will always be in front of Nataraja's image. And normally in all temples, these four, Upper, Trinyana Sambandar, Sundaramurti Swamigal, and Manikavachakar, they will be together, in front of the Lord Nataraja. Or in temples where all four are not there, Manikavachakar alone will be in front of Nataraja. So it is so even though he is not a part of the 63 Nayanmars list, he is popularly called as one of the Nalvar, one of the four. So these four generally are inseparable. They are always together, and lot of images you see, mostly they will be together. All the four will be together. And Manikavachakar has his own place in all the temples' celebration and worship. Now, Manikavachakar was originally called vadavoorar. Vadavoor is a small village which is near Madurai. In fact, in today's Madurai, it's in the outskirts of the city, or it's one of the suburbs of the city, Madurai. But it used to be a small village just in the fringe of Madurai, the city of Madurai, and in that there were a pious couple who were very always who used to do yagas and yagnas and homam sacrifices in their house for Lord Shiva, and they belonged to a clan called Amatya. They were Brahmins of a sect called Amatya. Amatya is I do not know if it is extent if it is there still today, but Amatya is one of the sects of Brahmin community, of Shaivite community especially, and they belong to that community, and they had this boy, and he was named Vadavoorar. In those times, it was very common to name the child after the name of the town. Like Chidambaram, even now we see a lot of people with the name Chidambaram and such. And Tirupati is again a common name in Tamil country. At least a lot whoever has a orientation towards Venkatachalapati name one of the kid in the family as Tirupati. Similarly, he was called Vadavooran, meaning the boy hailing from the village called Vadavoorar. And in Vadavur, he was grown up, and he was again trained in all the scriptural studies in Vedas, in Agamas, and all that. And he grew up to be a young man. And when he was youth, like say for example, when he was 18, 19, 20, or whatever years of age. He became very skeptical about quite a lot of things. He was not clearly understanding why his parents are doing so much of rituals, why ritualistic worship, why is it given so much of importance, why are they doing all this fire, burning the fire, why is this oblations, poured in the fire. He was not able to really understand the meaning of all this, and he was questioning a lot of people, and none of them were able to give a satisfactory answer to that. And he also started learning a lot of doing quite a lot of research from whatever libraries and was available in those days. And he also was studying no religious or literary works of other religion also, in order to see if we can find any clue or if we can get any in any way his doubts clarified. While he was not able to get anything at all, but he was he was a very bright student, and he was learned in quite a lot of sciences, not only in Vedic science or in scriptural lessons. He also had taken a lot of lessons in business, in commerce, in all those things. And one day, while he and his friend were worshipping in the temple, in the local temple, the king happened to be visiting there, and he somehow saw there was a dispute going on about within a family there, and Vadavoorar used his clever understanding of the unsolvable problem and gave them a very peaceful and perfect solution to the problem that they had, which they were not able to solve meaningfully for a long time, despite having good intention. But Vadavoorar solved that in no time. And when the king saw this, he felt that here we have a very good candidate to be part of our ministry. So he sends word for Vadavoorar to come to the palace, and Vadavoorar, in the due course, goes to the palace, and the king examines him and finds him to be an excellent, brilliant candidate, and he immediately places him as the prime minister, not just as an ordinary minister of a department or whatever. He was placed the prime minister, and he was given the title called Tennavan Brahmarayan. Tennavan means a man hailing from south. All South Indian people were in that time called as Tennavan. Tennaruடைய சிவனே போற்றி, we say. And தென்னாடுடைய சிவன் is the Lord for எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி, a Lord for all the country. The Shiva, hailing from the southern part of India, is the Lord for all the world. எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும், all the countries. எந்நாட்டவர் means all countries. எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி, we say. Similarly, Brahmarayan means something equivalent to who is very good in all the Shastras and other things, who generally prime ministers are given that title. So prime minister or the biggest scholar in the court is generally called Brahmaraya. So this person was Vadavooran was given the title Tennavan Brahmarayan and appointed as the prime minister of the Pandya kingdom, and he lived in Madurai, and he was doing his duties very beautifully. Everybody was happy. There were a lot of envious people also in the court who thought that he was too early to be appointed as a prime minister, and their seniority was overlooked and all that. This happens everywhere. And similarly, it happened in that case also, but it is not a very important part of the story of Manikavachakar. But later on, all these people understand the greatness of Manikavachakar. So Vadavoorar now becomes the prime minister and discharging duties. One day, a person from the eastern coast of Pandya kingdom, then at that time Pandya kingdom was in a very powerful seat, and so half of the Chola kingdom was also part of the Pandya kingdom at that time. So from near a place called Tiru, there is a port, and some one of the spies from there, one of the Pandya king's emissary spy came to the king and mentioned that There are a lot of excellent quality Arabian horses that have come in the show, brought by a merchant, and they are available for sale. And probably we can buy it for our cavalry force. And the king was very happy to hear that. So he calls vadavoorar and asks if he knows much about the horses. And vadavoorar gives so much, which is also written in the period in the Puranam. There are two Puranas that is available. One is called Tiru vadavoorar Puranam, written by a person called Kadavul Mamunivar, and the other source of information is from part of the it is from a Puranam that has all the Leelas, 64 Leelas that was done by the Lord in Madurai. All the Leelas, that is a Tiruvilayadal Puranam, everything is a part of that. That was Paranjoti Munivar writes that Purana, and in that, four chapters are dedicated to the life of Manikavachakar, life and times of Manikavachakar. So these are the two authentic source from where we understand the life of Manikavachakar. Apart from this, there are no other sources. Maybe some temples may have some fleeting information here and there in form of Sthala Puranam, but the entire Puranam or life of Vadavoorar, later known as Manikavachakar, is covered only in these two Puranams, and these are the sources. So, this Manikavachakar, at that time, in the Puranam describes very elaborately how Manikavachakar or Vadavoorar describes about the nature of various horses, what are the lakshanam that a horse should have, and he goes on and on and on, talks. There are 5, 6, or even 10 to 12 stanzas dedicated to Vadavoorar describing the name of horses. Each horse, about he mentions about 100 plus variety of horses and all that. So he knows everything about the warfare of horse cavalry. So the king was very immensely pleased, and gives quite a lot of wealth from his coffers, and asks Vadavoorar to personally go to Tiruperindurai, to the place, to the port near Tiruperindurai, and obtain horses for the country. So Vadavoorar sets forth on his journey, and a few days passes by, and at the same time, while he was discharging the duty of the prime minister, on the back of his mind, the old nagging problem that he had as about why all these rituals, what is the meaning of all this, what is the actual meaning of Shiva Bhakti, how do you really be a Shiva Bhakta, and all these doubts are going on, churning on the back of his mind. One part of his mind was fully immersed in this in these doubts. So while he was going in the journey, he was again contemplating about these doubts that he had, trying to find out if somebody will be able to help. Somewhere he'll find a meaningful guru or person who is scholarly enough to appease his hunger for the information. So he goes about, and one day he reaches this outskirts of this town called Tiruperanturai. In current day, today's it's called Avudayar Kovil. It's not called by the name Tiruperindurai anymore. It was called then as Tiruperindurai. Now it is called as Avudayar Kovil. It is about 30 kilometers from this town called Pudukottai, and about 14 kilometers from a small town called Arantangi. This is the route in which we go to the temple of Atmanatha Swami in Avudayar Kovil, today's Avudayar Kovil, which was called Tiruperindurai, which was a big city in those days. So in the outskirts of the city, because he sees a big set of a bunch of students sitting under a tree and getting lessons from a guru who are sitting under a tree and teaching all these people about various shastras, Vedas, Agamas, and things like that. So he happens to halt there for a little while. He was taking some rest, and he was these students were questioning the guru, and the guru was giving some answers. So he was able to get. There are some, without him asking, one or two of his doubts were getting resolved, because these students happened to ask the same type of question, and the guru was giving convincing answers to the students. which is which was very wonderful to Manikava, to Vadavoorar, as he was getting few doubts solved. So he thought he will go and approach the Guru. So he went to the Guru and pleaded, fell at his feet, and asked, told him that Guru, can I also be a disciple of you? Will you take me as one of your disciples? The Guru was happy to do that. He says, why? Madhavura, I was waiting. He didn't say I was waiting for you, but our Lord was waiting for him. The story goes that more than he did, the Lord didn't want to suddenly appear and with about 100 students. So he was living in the city for about 1 to 1.5 years along with his Sishyas, and he was acclimatizing himself to all the people so that nobody had any kind of doubt as to why suddenly somebody is appearing and all that. So even before Madhavura came to Tiruperandurai, this Lord, the Guru, was teaching all these students for more than a year. And then when Vadavoorar came, that was the culmination. That is the purpose to receive Vadavoorar. Is why our Lord has come and sat in front of the temple. So he was waiting for Madhavoorar to return. Now Madhavoorar says, "Can I be a Sishya?" The Lord says, yes, you can. And he says, he is slowly beginning to forget the purpose of his visit, what the king has sent him for. And slowly he was he start asking one by one his doubts, whatever he had nurtured from his childhood. He was asking, and the Lord was giving replies in such a way that Madhavura's heart melts. Because he's getting the right answer or the most meaningful, satisfactory answers. So he becomes very happy and he says, can you give me Diksha? Along, like, just like how you are given Diksha to all these students, can I also be? He says, I will give you Diksha, but you'll have to be very clear that once you take Diksha from me, all else is over as far as your life is concerned. You are my Sishya and you have to be full time my Sishya only. And Madhura falls at his feet. He says, what more I can ask for? This is the only thing, only purpose of my life is to be your Sishya, to be your student and learn from you and gain Diksha from you. So the Lord asks Madhura to bend his head, places his holy feet on top of Madhavura's head and blesses him and gives him the Diksha that he had asked for. Pada Diksha, this is called. There are 4 or 5 types of Diksha. Diksha, Sakshi Diksha, and some people get initiation by sight, some people by touch of palm, some by this feet, Pada Diksha. Manikavachakar got the Pada Diksha. The Lord puts his holy feet on top of the head of Vadavoorar. And so he immediately disrobes himself of all the royal costumes and fanfare that he had, everything, and started doing service in the temple of Tiruperuturai. He starts slowly by cleaning the temple, by doing the job called Uravaram. It is called Uravara Pani. That is cleaning the temple, maintenance of the temple. Appar used to be very, very known for his Uravaram. He had Appar Swamigal, if you see in the images in the temple, he'll be carrying one shawl kind of a thing, which he used to dig the soil, pull out weeds and other things. And even now, there are a lot of Shiva Bhaktas, Shiva Nadiyars, who visit all Shiva temples across the country and does this job of the weeds, cleaning the temple, watering the temple plants, and then painting the temple and things like that. So Padavura starts doing all this service, and at the king's court, there was a lot of unrest, saying that there's no news from Vadavura. He's gone for such a long time. He has not come back yet. He should have, by all means, come back by now. And they didn't know what is happening. So the king sends spies across the city, across the country to see what's happening. One of the spies who happened to come to Triperundurai has spots Vadavoorar in the temple doing all this service and lavishly spending all the amount given for the purchase of horse in rectification and rebuilding the temple. So this spy goes back to the king and informs this is what is happening. He has not gone to the place where horses is sold. He has not gone to the port. He's settled in the temple. He has become a kind of an ascetic. He has shaved his head and he's wearing rudraksha all over his body, smearing basma all over his body, and he's just wearing one piece of small cloth in the hip, around the hip. This is the status. The king gets really angry. He loses his cool and he sends a couple of his ministers and a few of the people from his army to go and capture Vadavoorar and bring him as a prisoner. These people set forth. And when they come here, the ministers start talking to him, trying to understand what is happening before taking any action, because before capturing him or whatever. They are trying to understand. And Vadavoorar was very cool. He, he was exactly telling what he's doing and what is the purpose of his life is, and he's not interested in all this life. And he also admits that he had spent the money in refurbishing the temple and other things. But he does not say everything very fully. He just gives them an inclination of his life at that time. Then these people are getting very upset, and they said, "No, we'll have to capture you. We'll have to take you to the king." It was the king's order. So Madhavura excuses him for a while and goes inside and looks for his guru. And the guru had promised, anytime you call me, I will there. I'll appear in front of you. So you can continue your life here. And he goes inside the temple, calls his guru, and his guru immediately appears in front of him. And he says his plight, this is what has happened. Now, what should I do? I do not know. They want to take me. If the king asks me what happened to the money, or where is that was given to buy horses, and where are the horses? He he said, I don't have an answer. What should I do, Guru? The Guru says, he gives a very, very precious ruby, red ruby, in the hand of Badavura. Says, give it, go to the king, meet the king, give him this ruby, saying that this is a gift for you. And in the due course, a date was set in which date all the horses have been purchased and they'll all come up on a particular set date. It was there is a festival still going on every year in Madurai to commemorate the arrival of the horse. I think it is in the month of Masi. I'm not very. I mean, I trail off in the date. I will find out and I'll tell you. So uh, the guru tells him, go to the king, give the ruby, and tell them the horses will arrive in the appropriate nakshatra, in the appropriate time, the most auspicious time, another. So Vadabhuran goes along with the ministers to the king's court. The king asks him all the questions, and Vadavura gives him the ruby. And the king has never in his life seen such a big ruby. It was gleaming with sheen all over. And the king says, "Where did you get it from?" He said, "In trust, where I went to buy the horse, they asked me to give this ruby for you. I brought it for exclusively for you. They gave it as a gift to you." So this gives a great boost to the king. He understands, after all, Madhavurat, even though he has seen this costume now, even though he wants to renounce, he has done his job. He went there, he didn't squander the money, he bought horses, and the horses are going to come one day. So we were all staying, and the date of the horse arrival is coming very near, and the spies from various ports, that especially from the places from where the route to the shore, they come and keep telling the king that there is absolutely no sign of any horse coming or any movement at all. So we do not know as to what Madhura has told, and when the horse is going to come. All this is strange to us. The king again develops suspicion, and he loses his patience, and he feels something is not adding up. So he gets a little gross, but he decides, I will wait till uh, till the given date, till the said date of here. Madhavura has after all promised me to that the horses will come on the said day. I'll wait till that and then take any further action. And suddenly, on the said date, there is a flurry of activity in the outskirts of the city of Madurai. Hundreds of horses of highest quality comes galloping inside the city. Horses of the highest quality are racing towards the palace. And the head horseman, the head of the pack, was a very bright looking youth who's commanding the horses, and they all obey his command instantly. Very well behaved and very masculine studs. They are all coming, and they reach the palace. And the horseman gets down and says, "Kid, here is the horses that was bought for your kingdom by Vadavoorar." And he goes to the stable and ties all the horses in the stable. The king was immensely pleased, and he was very upset that he did not treat Vadavoorar well in the last few days, and he has done such a job. Nobody could have got this quality of horses. And the horseman gives the ceremonial handover. The ceremonial handover for horse trade is there will be one big master rope. They will hand it over to the buyer, and that ceremony was done, and a big feast was given to the uh, to the person who the head of the horse, the pack who brought the horses, and he leaves. He leaves the horses and he goes. Now everything is fine. Everybody is happy. That same night, when the horses were dropped in the city of Madurai, that night, suddenly from somewhere, some very big howling, some very strange, horrific sound was coming. No, people were really getting scared as to what is this noise all about. So uh, the king said, asks all these people in the head of his army to go and inspect, and they come to the horse shed, and all the horses that were brought by this uh, in the morning, which came from the seaport, they all turned into wolves. All the horses turned into wolves, and they were creating havoc. They were creating so much of howling noises and other things. And on top of it, they start attacking and killing all the existing other horses, the old horses, the regular horses in the shed. And there was huge bloodbath that was happening. And when the king hears this, he gets totally fierce, and he says, "Manik, Vadavoorar, you have fooled me. You have done a conjuring, you have done some trick, you have acted like a magician, and that is why all this has happened." And he immediately imprisons him in a rigorous way, in a very, very bad prison, gallows. He shuts Manikavachakar, Vadavoorar. And the king now does not know what to do. While all this is happening, he was trying to chase the wolves away with the help of his army, and that was while that was happening, another report comes to the king from another part of the city where Vaigai River flows, the famous river called Vaigai. And they come and say the river is suddenly getting inundated. It is starting to swell so badly that it is water started coming flooding the nearby settlements, and it is slowly coming towards the town itself. And the king goes along with his retinue to inspect what is happening, and the flood is getting really out of control. So some major work has to take place in order to arrest the flood. So the king issues a decree asking all the people in in the city, without exception, one person from each family will have to come and dig some portion of the earth from near that and build a big tank, big bund around the river, and no one is exempted from that. So a lot of everyone was beginning to do that, and the job was going on. And there was one elderly lady by name Vanti. She was making this puttu as a for a living, and selling that in the market. And that is what I think we discussed this subject called puttu a little earlier. But the first time we had a very quick run through of Manikavachakar's life, and it is a food. It's a kind of a sweet meat that is prepared, and she was selling that to make her living. Now she was all alone, and she did not have any strength to do any job, but she was all alone, nobody. But the king people were coming, insisting, no, nobody is accepted from this. You have to, for somehow, you will have to play your part in this. Otherwise, you will be taken. I will take you to the king, and you will be punished. This lady did not know anything. She was only praying to the God, please help me. A lot of Somanatha, Somasundaram. Somasundaram is the Lord there. She was praying to Lord Somasundaram, please help me. I'm a old lady. What can I do? Suddenly, a very mischievous youth boy, full of strength in his youth, in the vigor of his youth, comes to this lady and says, "Can I have some puttu?" She says, "I can give you some puttu." And he was carrying some kind of a shawl, kind of a thing in his hand. And he said, "You can give me puttu. I don't have money to give you, but since the king is pressurizing you to do your portion of the job, I will do the job instead of you. For in your place, as your representative, I'll do the job. Just give me some puttu. I'm very hungry." So he eats. That day, somehow, for some reason, that puttu was getting broken. It was not, the shape was getting not getting firm. It was getting broken into loose. So she says, "This is happening. I don't know why." This boy says, "I have no problem. I'm very hungry and I'll eat it. Just whichever way you give me, I have no problem. I'll eat it." So he starts eating quite a lot of that. And he says, "I'm very, very happy. I'm full. I'll go to my work. But for me to eat in the afternoon, can you pack some puttu and give me?" So this lady says, "I have a lot. I'll give you." So she packs the puttu in a bag and she gives it and he goes away to do his job. Having gone to the place of work, he just lies down. He was lazing around, not doing any job, suddenly singing, dancing in ecstasy. He was like acting like a mad man. These people saw him and they kind of ordered him to do his job, but he was not listening to anyone. He was happily, merrily making merry under the sun, eating his puttu and dancing, singing, and all that. The matter was reported to the king, and the king comes to the spot, and he sees this man doing all these things, and he says, "No, no, I'm doing my job. He'll just take a little bit of sand from here and put it there. See, I'm doing the job." The king gets very wild at the conduct of this man. So he asks for one of his assistants to give him the big cane that he normally uses. Takes the cane and whips the boy. Gives a big, very tight, powerful lash on the back of the boy. And suddenly, the whole population of Madurai were feeling the pain of the hit. This boy was standing there laughing still, and the king himself felt the lash with such power that was hitting him. Everybody was shocked. Everybody comes running and saying, "From where did I get this lash? Who whipped me? No one is here. How did I get this?" Everybody is confused, including the king. The king said, "Something is wrong," and he was curiously looking at that boy. That boy gives up the form of that playful youth and appears as Lord Shiva in front of the king and says, "It is our deed. We did all this in order for you to understand the greatness of Manikavachakar and who he is. Vadavoorar, he is no more Vadavoorar, and he's not the normal minister that you think of. He has come to this earth for a very higher purpose." Just a quick why Manikavachakar came is not mentioned in one of these Puranams, but in the composition called Ramana Puranam, written by Muruganar and Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi together. There is the first I think 970 or 90 odd lines are dedicated to Manikavachakar, saying that first there was Nandi who was sitting in front of our Lord and Mother Uma, and he was always in the presence of the Lord. And the Lord one day came to Nandishwara and told, "You go to the earth. There is some these people in the earth. There are some laws of faith, and you have to restore the faith. The faith has to be restored, and so you go to the southern quarters, go to Madurai in form of a youth, and that youth that youth happened to be Vadavoorar, was written by Muruganar and Bhagavan Ramana, and that how all the stories were quickly covered. So they give the summary of the entire thing in about 70 lines or 90 lines, and from that we learn that Manikavachakar is no other than Nandishwaran. Even today, you go to the temple, even though there is not much of a Puranam, You go to the temple of Audayar Kovil, Thiruperanturai, where the statue of Manikavachakar shrine is. Nandisa Manikavachakar is what is written there. So we come to understand that that is something. But since we all there are sometimes we try to find out what is the source, from where did Muruganar write this, and then we concluded Bhagavan was a co-author of that work. Bhagavan has written this Ramana Puranam was written by Bhagavan and Muruganar together. Bhagavan has written that. What more authority we need? Why are we trying to spend time in vain searching for the source of all this? The source is Bhagavan. The source is Shiva himself. We decided and we stopped the research. We lost the inclination towards going. Bhagavan has returned. So Nandikeshwara has become Manikavachaka. So that is the backstory. Now, while all this happened, the king understands the greatness of Vadavoorar, immediately releases him, and he wants Vadavoorar to continue as the minister, as the prime minister of the country. Vadavoorar politely says, "No, this is not my job. You will find a lot of qualified people to do this. I have some other job assigned by my guru, and please excuse me." And he goes away, and he starts where the guru meets him there and asks him to compose Tiruvachakam. He says, how will I start? What do I know? Then the God gives him some clues and he starts composing Shiva Purana to start with. That is the first work that is done by Manikavachakar in Tiruvachakam. And the Lord says, from today you are not Vadavoorar. Your words are like Manikam. Manikam is that I think it's emerald or ruby or one of the stones. And so he says, from today, your words are so nectarine. So from today, your name is Manikavachakar. That is the precious gem, the words of the precious gem. Vachakam means statements or words. Manikavachakar. So from today, you are Manikavachakar. So, and the Lord disappears. The journey of Manikavachakar's life from here on is very mystical in the sense it's very difficult to understand the journey of the soul. Here now the soul called of Manikavachakar starts his journey to reach Shivahood. Now this a pilgrim now he's starting his actual journey. Shiva, he says, he asks all the other students who are alongside Manikavachakar, who are part of the team. He asks all the people to dig a big pit around the temple tank and set it to fire. And it was done. And he asked all the Sishyas to jump into the fire and reach Shivaloka. Manikavachakar was not allowed to do that. The Lord, the Guru says, you wait here for some more time. Your time has not yet come because the purpose for which you have taken this avatar in this birth has to be fulfilled. You have to do your job. That is, you have to compose Tiruvachakam. You have to defeat the Buddhists who are gaining a lot of ground in debates and drive them away and establish Saiva, the faith of Saivism in this region. That is the purpose of your visit. So you cannot come. So he stays back. Manikavachakar stays back. But even though he agreed, his heart is with this guru. He says, Guru, you are leaving me and going. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And every time, so he started composing. One by one, he starts composing his famous Tiruvachakam. He writes a canto called a 100 song work comprising of 10 songs each. But they are 100 they are part of one single entity called Tiru Sadam is 100. Tiru is the name of that work, 100 songs. And in all that song, he beautifully depicts the journey of the soul, of how it is, how the mind is so impure, how it gains strength, how it goes to the bhava of Ananda, how it transcends the bhava of Ananda and becomes Ananda, Atita, and all these things. So he was, but all his thought was towards his fellow students who were with him and the Lord himself. he suddenly he's crying in pain, ecstasy. Lord, please appear to me. Show me. Without you, I cannot live anymore. Please let me have at least a vision of you. Lord says, go to this town called Uttarakosamangai, which is in the Pandya kingdom. Go to this town, and there he will come and show you. We will give you the darshan. So he goes there. He goes there, sits there for a long time, and the Lord is not appearing to him. Lord Guru is not appearing. So he starts singing a song called Neetal Vinnapam, meaning in every part, every third line of the song, he'll say, "You have left me, you have forsaken me, forsaken me, you have forsaken me. Please don't leave me." This is the entire. It's a 50 song poem, and in all the songs he will be saying this. I'll just sing one song just to sample Neetal Vinnapam, which was composed in Uttarakosamangai. Uttarakosamangai is about 7 kilometers from this place called Ramanathapuram. So he says in this கடையவனேனை கருணையினால் கலந்தாண்டு கொண்ட விடையவனே விட்டிடுதி கண்டாய் வீரல் வேங்கையின் தோல் உடையவனே மண்ணும் உத்தர கோசமங்கை கரசே சடையவனே தளர்ந்தேன் எம்பீரான் என்னை தாங்கி கொள்ளே. He prays to the Lord that he's come to Uttara Kosamangai on the demand of the Lord, and the Lord is not appeared to him, and he's becoming very weary, very weary. Vittidhi Kandai, he keeps saying, meanings, you have left me, you have left me, you have left me, and you said you will come to, when I come to Uttarakosamangai, you will give me your darshan, and you have not yet done. So in all the song, he sings Uttarakosamangai Karase, and he says, Vittidhi Kandai means you have left me, you have left me, you have left me. He keeps singing this in all the songs. At the end of the 50 songs, as promised, the Guru, the Lord, appears to Manikavachakar and gives his blessing and asks him to continue singing in Tiruperinturai, and then asks him to go to select Shaivite centers and sing and complete the Tiruvachakam. So from there on, he starts composing quite a lot of work in Tiruperinturai. That is how we are going today, as I told you, in Tiruperinturai. Almost 45 to 50% of the composition is in Tiruperinturai. So he composes, and then he goes to other kshetrams. He reaches the kshetram of Thiruvannamalai. He comes to Thiruvannamalai. In Adiyannamalai, even now we see the temple of Manikavachakar, and Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi has given clear verdict that this is exactly the temple where Manikavachakar composed the two works in Thiruvannamalai, namely Thiruvembavai and Thiru Ammanai, which we saw the recording, which I was able to post the recording yesterday, and followed by the text in Telugu. I was able to give it yesterday for people who read in that language. And so he composed these two works. These two works are very, very, very powerful works, especially at Thiruvembavai, which is the most important work, as we recollected in the start of the discourse, that it is given by, it is sung in all the Shiva temples in Margazhi in the morning, every morning, during the Brahma Muhurtam period. So, and Bhagavan was always very fond of Thiruvembavai. He has highly recommended the entire Tiruvachakam. Bhagavan has really given, from time to time, he used to quote from Tiruvachakam. He used to melt with ecstasy while he was giving details from Tiruvachakam. And it is a very, very known. It is a, I mean, it is a guess. Even a newcomer to Bhagavan will know that the one who was in form of Shiva under the Kurundamaram in Tiruperindurai was nothing but our Bhagavan, and the one who received is nothing but Muruganar. This is a speculation, this Muruganar thing, but it follows, because when Muruganar wrote the Sannidhi Murai, Bhagavan writes in the opening stanza, there was this devotee of Bhagavan called Vishwanatha Swami, who one day was again and again repeating the name Mugavapuri Murugan, Mugavapuri Murugan. Mugavapuri, Mugavai or Mugavapuri is another name for Ramanathapuram. And our Muruganar hailed from Ramanathapuram. So he was called Mugavai Murugan. Mugavai Kanna Muruganar was his name. Though his name was Subramaniam, he converted because he wanted a Tamil name. So he changed it to Muruganar. Murugan. And so Vishwanath Swami was, for some reason, he went to Bhagavan and said, for some reason, I don't know, from the morning, this name, Mugavapuri Murugan is coming in my mouth. Bhagavan said, why don't you compose a song with a word? As much as Vishwanath Swami tries, he's not able to. He said, Bhagavan, no, only Bhagavapuri Murugan. Beyond this, I'm not able to compose anything. So he leaves, he tells. Then when he comes back, Bhagavan has composed a song of 4 lines, and under that has signed Vishwanatha Swami. And he reads that, and the poem reads, அகத்தாமரை மலர் மீதுரை அருணாச்சல ரமணன் நகைத்தான் உறவிழித்தான் அற செகுத்தான் எனதுயிரை மிகத்தான் அருள் சுரந்தான் என முகவாபுரி முருகன் ஜகத்தாருய வகுத்தான் முறை திருவாச்சக நிகரே. Who composes this song? The meaning is Agattamari, in the hardcore, or in my heart, the lotus of the heart, who resides? Ramana, our own beloved Ramana. Agattamari Malar Meedurai, who sits in the heart, is Arunachala Ramana. Yes, Arunachala Ramana is the one that is living as I in all of us. So here it clearly states that I is Ramana, Arunachala Ramana. So what is the meaning of the consciousness here? Arunachala Ramana. So when we see Arunachala, the hill of Arunachala, that is nothing but consciousness. Jnanathiralai Nindra Peruman is the name for Arunachala. The Lord of Jnana is our Arunachala. Arunachala is hill. The hill itself is the Lord, and the Lord himself is consciousness sitting in the heart cave of each one of us. So, that is the one who is there is Agattamarai Malar Meedurai Arunachala Ramanan. So, this Arunachala Raman is that. So, he has established this. This Arunachala Ramana, Nagaittanura Vilittan or Saguttan, he's sitting inside my heart and he's sculpting my heart. He's really making making my love overflow for the self, for Ramanam, for Arunachalam, and he's doing this job. And Mikattan Arul Surandan and Mugavapuri Murugan. So this Arunachala Ramanan, in order for the world to prosper, is doing so many things, is returned by our Mugavapuri Murugan. That is our Muruganar has returned this. That say in the magnum opus work called Sannidhi Murai, which says, and Bhagavan says, Muruganar writes this Sannidhi Murai to show the grace bestowed on the devotees by Arunachala Ramanan. And this work, Jagattaruya Vagattan Murai, Tiruvachaka Nigare, this work is absolutely equivalent to Tiruvachakam written by Manikavachakar. Bhagavan gives the stamp of authority. Mikattan Arul Surandan Yana Mugavapuri Murugan, Jagattaruya Vagattan Murai Tiruvachaka Nigare. So, Bhagavan, in one statement, in one song, says the Sannidhi Murai that we all are trying to read these days in Ashramam, written by Muruganar, is equivalent to Manikavachakar's composition of Tiruvachakam. From this, it is inferred that who Manikavachakar wrote Tiruvachakam. Now, Sannidhi Murai is written by Muruganar. In those ancient days, Manikavachakar's guru was Lord Shiva. In today's context, Muruganar's guru is our Bhagavan Ramana. So all these are inseparable. So he is also written something which is vouchsafed by the Lord Shiva himself as equivalent to Tiruvachakam, the Sannidhi Murai. So we can very safely we can speculate. We can very safely conclude that Muruganar is Manikavachakar and Bhagavan is Lord Shiva of in those days, who was sitting under the Kurunda tree in Tiruperurai and giving all the Diksha to Manikavachakar and the other students. So, this is a background that I had to give. Now, Manikavachakar starts singing here in Tiruvannamalai. Then he goes to, he has sung totally in 7 kshetrams. From here, he goes to a place called Tirukazhukundram, and he sings one song there. And then he goes to Sirgari, the birthplace of Jnana Sambandha, Trinyana Sambandha, sings one song there. And so after finishing about, so in all, if we take keys, the major portion is in Tirupperunturai, then one in Uttarakosamangai, and one in two in Tiruvannamalai, one in Tirukazhukundram, one in Sirgali, and then one more. He goes to Tiruvarur and sings one song, and he comes to Chidambaram finally and sings the rest. Chidambaram has the maximum; it's got about 25 songs, where towards the end was sung by Manikavachakar in Chidambaram, composed by Manikavachakar. He was sitting in the outskirts of the town of Chidambaram, and in a small hut, and he was living fully immersed in in the Smarana of Shiva. At the time, the king, so it was ruled by Cholas. Chidambaram was ruled by it was a part of the Chola territory. So there was a big retinue that has come from Sri Lanka, a big Buddhist retinue, and they were challenging that Buddhism is the biggest religion. You all should convert to Buddhism. And that is the only way out, and all that they were trying to call. They were calling a lot of the scholars in the court for debate, and they were defeating all of them in debate. So the king was getting a little confused what he should be doing next. One person, some minister in the court, said that, sir, there seems to be a very highly qualified Shaivite who is sitting in the outskirts of the city in a small thatched hut, and we do not know anything about him. Only recently he's here. We do not know much about him. Probably we can check out if this man can be of help to us. So the king orders the team to bring Manikavachakar to his court, and with due respects, he was accorded a high place in the court. And Manikavachakar, the king told the problem, and the next morning a debate was between Manikavachakar and the representatives of Sri Lankan Buddhists. And the king the Sri Lankan king also came here with his daughter, who was by birth dumb. She cannot speak. So she was also sitting there along with that. And they engage into debate, and Manikavachakar quite convincingly, defeats the Buddhists. He establishes the supremacy of Shaivism and Shiva, and those people run away. Those Buddhists run away fearing punishment. In those days, punishments for losing in such debates were very severe. In fact, they were in a lot of cases they were hung or set to fire or something like that. So they ran away, and the king, seeing the greatness of Manikavachakar, immediately requests, I have this daughter from birth. She's dumb. She's not able to sing. And can you do anything in this regard? Manikavachakar sits next to the child, and he starts singing two lines of a song. There is a composition, the 12th song of Tiruvachakam called Tiruchal, in which first, two-line questions are asked about the nature of Shiva. Why is he like this? He's got so many, big facilities, but he's got so many chariots and other things, but still he rides on the bull. He's got so much of jewelries, but still he wears skeleton for his jewelry. He's got all the palaces, but he lives in the crematorium, the crematory ground, those places. He's got everything. But why is all this? First two lines of every song. There are 20 songs. First two lines of every song, 4-line songs. First two lines will be in form of a question, and the second will be in form of an answer. So Manikavachakar sings the first two lines, and the child immediately started spontaneously giving the answer to each question that was posed by the first two lines by Manikavachakar, and entire composition comes about, and she's able to speak in chaste language, and she seems to have all the knowledge of Shaivism in her. And to the strange, the king really profusely fell at the feet of our Manikavachakar and left with his daughter. This is how the channel came about. After defeating the Buddhists, the glory of Shiva is set forth in form of 2-line question and 2-line answers given by this young girl. Of course, it's all Manikavachakar who induced the young girl to give all the answers. Now, all these people have started hearing about the greatness of Manikavachakar. So he goes back to his hut and he was living there for a while. One night, a very old Brahmin comes to his hut and he says, "Are you Manikavachakar?" He says, "Yes, I am. What? How can I be of service to you, devotee of Lord?" He asks, and he says, I've heard quite a lot that you have composed quite a lot of songs uh, in Tirupalli and other places about our Lord Shiva. Can you share those songs with me? I also understand that you have not recorded them or returned them anywhere. So if you have it in your memory and if you can recite them, I will sit next to you and I will record them. I'll write them. Manikavachakar says, "Boy, absolutely, I have all the songs right in the tip of my tongue." And he sits and he starts singing all the songs one by one, which was recorded by this gentleman, by this old devotee of the Lord. And he also composes another work called Tiru. Apart from Tiruvachagam, Tiru was also another work composed, which is the sporting of the Lord and his consort, Uma, in Nayaka Nayagi Bhavam, like how it's a Nayaka Nayagi Bhavam. It's a very, very important way of worship in southern country. Both it is available in plenty, both Shaivite literature and Vaishnavite literature also. Like, even if you see the composition of Aksharamana Malai composed by our Bhagavan, Aksharamana Malai, Bhagavan becomes the Nayaki and Arunachala is the Nayakan. Nayaki means the concept, the feminine part, and the masculine part is Arunachala. So Bhagavan is composed the entire Aksharamana is in Nayaka Nayaki Bhava. Bhagavan is the Nayaki and our Lord is the Arunachala, is the Nayaka. So Tirkovaya, our Manikavachakar composes in the same Bhava of Nayaka Nayaki. And now he composed that and it was also written by this Brahmin. And the Brahmin takes leave from Manikavachakar and he disappears from the place. Next morning, all the Dikshadas of Chidambaram Nataraja temple, he comes as usual to the temple, opens up the sanctum door of Lord Nataraja, and there is some palm leaves left in the steps. They take it and they see some beautiful composition written. They have not heard of Tiruvachakam. No, they don't know anything about it yet. They go through a little bit and finally they go to the end and they say, composed by Tiruchittrambala Udayan. Tiruchittrambala Udayan means the owner of Tiruchitrambalam. The one Udayan means the owner or the one who has control over the place. So he has written, Lord wrote the entire composition in his own hand and finally put the stamp Tiruchittrambala Udayan in the end of the composition. All these Dikshadas, they were taken aback, saying that what kind of a composition and how blessed we are to have it in our hand, hold it in our palm, and all that. And they summons the king also and tells the king such a thing has happened. The Lord Himself has written this, and Manikavachakar. Then they understood that Manikavachakar composition was heard by our own Lord, written in his own hand the whole night, and signed by our own Lord. So they ask Manikavachakar to come to the temple. Manikavachakar goes to the temple. These people there says, "We do not understand the meaning of a lot of things written here. Can you explain the meaning?" Manikavachakar, "Oh, you want the meaning? I will give you the meaning." He closes his mind, he closes his eyes for some time, and straight walks up and merges with our Lord Nataraja. He goes, not even a residue is left on. He totally goes and merges with our Lord. And our Bhagavan has clearly stated that there are two people who have done that, who have straight gone and merged in Nataraja. One is our Manikavachakar, the other one is Nandanar. We'll be seeing about the life of Nandanar soon, very shortly. And so he goes and Irandara Ondra Kalandita. No two. One, he's become merged in the Lord Nataraja. So these people understood this is the meaning of Tiruvachakam, merging with the Lord. Yes, Nagesh sir? Nagesh Karu?
I request if you could come back on these last two sentences once more, on these last few sentences.
Okay. The Lord, they summon Manikavachakar. They bring Manikavachakar after return, and after knowing that Manikavachakar is a composer of Tiruvachakam. So they ask him to be brought to the temple. Manikavachakar comes, and these people fall at his feet and asks him, "What is the meaning of all the songs here? A lot of them we do not understand. They are very intricate in meaning. So can you explain the meaning to us?" And Manikavachakar goes, meditates a little and says, "You want to know the meaning of this?" Is straight walks towards the, the image of Lord Nataraja and merges one with the Lord without disappearing totally from the eyesight of these people. And he merges without leaving any trace of remnants. And this was vouchsafed by our Bhagavan, saying that Manikavachakar is one who went right and merged into the Lord without leaving any corpse or without leaving any ash or whatever behind. Nandanar is another person. So Bhagavan has told this, and now Manikavachakar, having completed his purpose of his avatara in this bhumi, has gone to Shivaloka to be eternally with Lord Shiva in union with Lord Shiva. So he is given us the gem called Tiruvachakam for us to always be in the smarana of Shiva. This is very different composition from all the Devaram composition, where the saints go to various temples and they sing the glory of the place, the glory of the kshetram, the sports done by the Lord in that place, and also there are some scientific methods that are approached in Devaram, and these people compose. Whereas Tiruvachakam is very different in the sense it is a, the journey of a soul that is pining to be in union with his Lord and Master Shiva. So it starts from a very rough rhyme, like skepticism. There was a lot of skeptical thoughts in the mind of Manikavachakar when he started composing, because he's missing the Lord. Even though he knows the Lord is the one who has commanded him to stay back, he's not able to bear the separation. The pangs of separation is too high. He's not able to sort of bear, to hold it, and he finally goes and merges. How the journey of the soul from the youth to the culmination of merging with Shiva is depicted in the life of Manikavachakar and his composition, Tiruvachakam. This is what Tiruvachakam is all about. This is the glorious life of Manikavachakar. And this month of Margari, we all should be completely in the smarana of Manikavachakar and Tiruvachakam and our Bhagavan Arunachala. Now, before concluding, we'll just read. I don't know if Jagadish Karu had shared the Tiruvachakam, I mean the Sivapuranam composition in Telugu. I think he has done. It probably should be in your WhatsApp, and if it is possible, you can take that, and I'll just read Sivapuranam alone to conclude the day's session, because that is the first song written by Manikavachakar, and Sivapuranam is something that all of us should over a period of time get into our habit and get memorized in our mind, and whenever we go to visit Shiva in any temple, we should be able to chant Shivapuranam. If Shivapuranam is chanted, that one alone is enough. Including apart from singing, chanting Tiruvambavai in the month of Margari. Shivapuranam is for everyday worship. Shivapuranam is highly recommended. And Bhagavan used to say, if 10 people sit in front of this hall, that is in front of Bhagavan, and chant in unison, chant Shivapuranam, how nice it will be. So just Bhagavan's, love for Shivapuranam and Bhagavan's stamp of authority towards the greatness of Shivapuranam. Manikavachakar. Richitrambalam. I will read Shivapuranam now. நமச்சிவாய வாழ்க நாதந்தாள் வாழ்க, இமைப்பொழுதும் என் நெஞ்சில் நீங்காதான் தாழ் வாழ்க. கோகழியாண்ட குரு மனிதன் தாழ் வாழ்க, ஆகமம் ஆகி நின்று அன்னிப்பான் தாழ் வாழ்க. ஏகன் அநேகன் இறைவனடி வாழ்க, வேகம் கெடுத்தாண்ட வேதனடி வெல்க. பிறப்பருக்கும் பிஞ்சகந்தன் பெக்கடல்கள் வெல்க, புறத்தார்க்கு சேயோன் தன் பூங்கடல்கள் வெல்க. கரம் குவிவார் உள் மகிழும் கோன்கடல்கள் வெல்க, சிரம் குவிவார் ஓங்குவிக்கும் சீரோன் கடல் வெல்க. ஈசன் அடி போற்றி, எந்தை அடி போற்றி, தேசன் அடி போற்றி, சிவன் சேவடி போற்றி. மேயத்தே நின்ற நிமலனடி போற்றி, மாய மேயத்தே நின்ற நிமலனடி போற்றி. மாயப்பிறப்பருக்கும் மன்னனடி போற்றி, சீரார் பெருந்துறை நம் தேவனடி போற்றி. ஆராத இன்பம் அருளுமலை போற்றி. சிவன் அவன் என் சிந்தையுள் நின்ற அதனால், அவன் அருளாலே அவன் தாழ் வணங்கி, சிந்தை மகிழ சிவபுராணம் தன்னை முந்தை வினை முழுதும் ஓய உரைப்பன் யான். கண்ணுதலான் தன் கருணை கண் காட்ட வந்தெய்தி, எண்ணுதற்கு எட்டா எள்ளார் களிறைஞ்சி. விண்ணிறைந்து மண்ணிறைந்து மிக்காய் விளங்கொழியாய், எண்ணிறைந்து எல்லை இலாதானே நின் பெரும் சீர் பொல்லா வினையேன் புகழும் மாறுண்டறியேன். புல்லாகி பூடாய் புழுவாய் மரமாகி, பல்விருகமாகி பறவையாய் பாம்பாகி, கல்லாய் மனிதராய் பேயாய் கணங்களாய், வல்லசுரராகி முனிவராய் தேவராய், செல்லா நின்ற இத்தாவர ஜங்கமத்துள் எல்லா பிறப்பும் பிறந்தளித்தேன் எம்பெருமான். மெய்யே உன் பொன்னடிகள் கண்டின்று வீடுற்றேன், உய்ய என் உள்ளத்துள் ஓம்காரமாய் நின்ற மெய்யா விமலா விடைப்பாகா வேதங்கள் ஐயா என ஓங்கி ஆழ்ந்தகன்ற நுண்ணியனே. வெய்யாய் தனியாய் யமான நாம் விமலா, பொய்யாயின எல்லாம் போயகல வந்தருளி, மெய்ஞானமாகி மிளிர்கின்ற மெய்ச்சுடரே. எஞ்ஞானமிலாதே நின்பப் பெருமானே, அஞ்ஞானம் தன்னை அகல்விக்கும் நல்லறிவே. ஆக்கம் அளவிருதி உள்ளாய் அனைத்துலகும், ஆக்குவாய் காப்பாய் அழிப்பாய் அருள் தருவாய் போக்குவாய், என்னை புகுவிப்பாய் நின் தொழும்பின் நாற்றத்தின் நேரியாய் சேயாய் நனியானே. மாற்றம் மனங்கழிய நின்ற மறையோனே, கலந்த வாழ்கண்ணலோடு நீ கலந்தார் போல, சிறந்தடியார் சிந்தனையுள் தேனூறி நின்று பிறந்த பிறப்பருக்கும் எங்கள் பெருமான். நிறங்களோர் ஐந்துடையாய் விண்ணோர்கள் ஏத்த, மறைந்திருந்தாய் எம்பெருமான் வல்வினையேன் தன்னை, மறைந்திட மூடிய மாய இருளை அறம் பாவம் என்னும் அருட்கயிற்றால் கட்டி, புறந்தோல் போட்டெங்கும் புழுவழுக்கு மூடி, மலஞ்சோறும் 9 வாயில் குடிலை மலங்க, புலனைந்தும் அஞ்சனையை செய்ய விலங்கு மனத்தால் விமலா உனக்கு கலந்த அன்பாகி கசிந்துள்ளுருகும், நலம்தானிலாத சிறியேற்கு நல்கி நிலம் தன்மேல் வந்தருளி, நீழ்கடல்கள் காட்டி ஞாயிற்கடையாய் கிடந்த அடியேற்கு தாயிற் சிறந்த தயாவான தத்துவனே. நாசற்ற ஜோதி மலர்ந்த மலர்ச்சுடரே, தேசனே தேனாரமுதே சிவபுரனே, பாசமாம் பற்றறுத்து பாரிக்கும் மாரியனே, நேச அருள் புரிந்து நெஞ்சில் வஞ்சங்கெட பேராது நின்ற பெருங்கருணை பேராரே. ஆறாமுதே அளவில்லா பெம்மானே, ஓராதார் உள்ளத்துள் ஒளிக்கும் ஒளியானே, நீராய் உருக்கி என் ஆருயிராய் நின்றானே, இன்பமும் துன்பமும் இல்லானே உள்ளானே, அன்பருக்கன்பனே யாவையுமாய் அல்லையுமாய், ஜோதியனே துண்ணுருளே தோன்றா பெருமையனே, ஆரியனே அந்தம் நடுவாகி அல்லானே, ஈர்த்தென்னை ஆட்கொண்ட எந்தை பெருமானே. கூர்த்தமை ஞானத்தால் கொண்டுணர்வார் தம் கருத்தின் நோக்கரிய நோக்கே நுணுக்கரிய நுண்ணுணர்வே, போக்கும் வரவும் புணர்வுமிலா புண்ணியனே, காக்கும் எம் காவலனே காண்பரிய பேரொழியே, ஆற்றின்ப வெள்ளமே அத்தாமிக்காய் நின்ற தோற்றச் சுடரொளியாய், சொல்லாத நுண்ணுணர்வாய் மாற்றமாம் வையகத்தின் வெவ்வேறே வந்தறிவாம், தேற்றனே தேற்றத் தெளிவே என் சிந்தனையுள் ஊற்றான உண்ணார் அமுதே உடையானே, வேற்று விகார விடக்குடம்பின் உட்கிடப்ப ஆற்றேன் எம் ஐயா அரணே. ஓ என்றென்று போற்றி புகழ்ந்திருந்து பொய்கட்டு மெய்யானார், மீட்டிங்கு வந்து வினைப்பிறவி சாராமே, கள்ளப்புலக்குரம்பை கட்டடிக்க வல்லானே, நள்ளிருளில் நட்டம் பயின்றாடும் நாதனே, தில்லையுள் கூத்தனே தென்பாண்டி நாட்டானே, அல்லல் பிறவி அறுப்பானே. ஓ என்று சொல்லற்கரியானை சொல்லி திருவடிக்கு சொல்லிய பாட்டின் பொருள் உணர்ந்து சொல்லுவார் செல்வர், சிவபுரத்தின் உள்ளார் சிவனடி கீழ் பல்லோரும் ஏத்த பணிந்து. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். தென்னாடுடைய சிவனே போற்றி, எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சலா.
அருணாச்சல நமோ ரமண நமோ ரமண. Tiruchitrambalam means praising on Nataraja generally.
Tiruchitrambalam refers to our own heart. Ambalam, that is, Ambalam means temple. Chit ahasam, we say. Chit is
Okay.
the consciousness aspect. Chit agasam. So Chit Ambalam means the in the temple of heart, the consciousness that resides. That is Tiruchitrambalam. That is the explanation of Tiruchitrambalam. That is nothing but Shiva, Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is considered the heart. Arunachala. That is what is Tiruchitrambalam. It is the meaning of Tiruchitrambalam.
Yeah, because anytime we went to Arunachala temple, everyone will say Tiruchitrambalam.
Yes. All
Tiruchitrambalam,
Shivanadiyars,
Shiva
they will open their discussion with Tiruchitrambalam and close it with Tiruchitrambalam.
I really didn't go that Tiruchitram. Yes.
Chit Ambalam.
Yes.
It's Ambalam. Ambalam means temple. Chit Ambalam means the Dahara Kasa in Sanskrit is called.
Okay.
That is the meaning of Tiruchitrambalam.
Arunachala.
Anyone wants to share anything else? Okay. And through the week we'll be seeing more some 2-3 more 9 months video will be posted, and also other things. Anything else that I happen to share, I share it in the in Ramaniyam and Arunachalam. Very happy to share the life history. What a blessing it is to even talk about Manikavachakar and his life and share it with Bhaktas, everybody who is so eager to listen to the story of Manikavachakar and other Nayanmars. Very, very blessed to be in all your company and giving a talk on the life of Manikavachakar and be in the smarana of our own Lord Shiva Arunachala. Namo Ramanaya, Namo Ramanaya, Namo Ramanaya.
Arunachala Vasuji, thank you so much. Okay. Apt time to listen about Manikavachakar and about the origin of Tiruvachakam. Okay, because we don't know all these things. Today is very auspicious day to listen about all great devotees of Shiva to listen about them. Thank you so much, Vasuji.
Arunachala. So
today significance had revealed about the coincidence of the Muruganar, Manikavachakar, Bhagavan, Arunachala. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Such is the glory of devotees of Shiva. Such is the glory of our Bhagavan. Every time we need anything, without any, he places it in our hand and he guides us in our journey in the most appropriate way. And all glory be to Ramana. Ramanesha.
Namo Ramana. Arunachala.
I'll take your lead now.
Thank you so much.